Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us in another episode of Behind the Curtain. My name is Carly, and I'm going to be our moderator for today. If you're watching with us live, welcome, and we encourage you to participate by sending any questions and comments you have in our chat room down below. If you're watching the stream after hours, we encourage you to send any feedback you have by either leaving a comment on our YouTube channel or you can email us at info@majestictheater.com. And lastly, if programming like this is something that you value, then please consider going over to majestictheater.com and making a donation. And without further ado, I would love to introduce our cast of Sleeping Beauty.
Hello.
Hello, hello. Let's see.
Hi.
Okay. Just wait for a couple more. There's Felix, and there's myself, and that's everybody. Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Hello.
Thanks for being here. If you're joining us live, thanks for joining us. Like Carly said, if you have any questions, put them in the chat, and we'll try to get to them. If you're watching this on a rerun, thanks for watching it on a rerun. However you watch it, thanks for joining us. I hope you're well. Hope everyone's having a good day or a good week. Things are slowly starting to turn back to normal. And theater, unfortunately, is just going to be the last, by the very nature of it, to return to normal. So in the meantime, we're going to keep doing stuff like this. And if you're super into theater, I think you'll find it valuable. Or if you like talking about stories, nitpicking stories, and talking about what things mean and all that sort of thing, like an English class, I enjoy doing that too. So I think those are the kind of values that you get from something like this. But at the very least, I've been enjoying doing these things, guys. So there's a certain point where I'm happy if you're joining us, but I'm getting a lot out of this myself, and I hope some of you who have done this a few times do as well. You know, it's something. It satiates some kind of, theatrical need that I have. Anyway, let's do as we normally do. Let's go around the room here and introduce ourselves. Say your name, who you played in the show, and just briefly what you're up to now. Whether it's if you're still pursuing theater or have a foot in it, or pursuing other interests or whatever, what have you. And then we'll have a little talk. So let's just go around and introduce each other. First, I'm going to do it as I see it here on my screen, and that's Maddie.
Hi, I'm Maddie Hartling. I played Flora in Sleeping Beauty, and right now I am a rising sophomore at the University of Rhode Island, where I major in pharmacy and I minor in Spanish, theater, and biology.
Great, thanks, Maddie. Rocco.
Hi, everyone. My name is Rauka Degree. In this show, I play King Stefan, an owl, a goon, and a dragon. Right now, I'm working on a film called 2020 Coronavisions at the Lava Center, and it's filmed entirely virtually.
Wow, interesting. And when does that come out? You know?
That's going to come out at the end of this month. It's going to be on YouTube, Facebook, and it's actually going to be on Greenfield Community Television.
Great. Congrats.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll keep an eye out for it. Molly McLeod.
Hi, I'm Molly McLeod, or Molly Damon Rush, as I appeared in this show. I played Maleficent. I'm still pursuing theater. I'm still working at the Majestic Theater. I was going to be in 9 to 5, the musical, which had to be pushed back. So yeah, right now I'm living life out west in Arizona, focusing on my visual art, which is sort of what's keeping me going right now.
Visual art, you mean drawing, painting? Wait.
Yeah, drawing with a focus in tattoo design.
Oh, the tattoo.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, I'm not into tattoos myself, but I've always respected the hell out of tattoo artists. You know, there's no eraser on that.
No.
Sign that they do can be really impressive. So cheers. I see the twofer because they are sisters, Emily and Alton. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Emily Weber, and I am a rising sophomore as well at the Chicago College of Performing Arts with a major in musical theater and a concentration in dance.
Great. And Allison?
Hi,
I'm
Get nice and
Allison.
close to your screen, guys, so you can hear you well. Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, no problem.
Hi. Can you hear me better now?
Yep, go ahead.
Okay, I'm Allison. I played Merriweather, and I am also a rising sophomore at Bard College at Simon's Rock, so that's fun.
Great. And Annette?
Hi, my name is Nanette. I played Princess Aurora slash Briar Rose, and I'm currently finishing up my last semester at Holyoke Community College. I'm studying communications, media, and theater arts. And as for theater, I am currently studying to be a part of this new play at HTC for the fall. We're currently workshopping it. It's called Fatal Fisticuffs, and my friend Tom Roche wrote it. So pretty much what I've been doing.
Great. Good for you. And Joshua True.
Hi, I'm Joshua True. I'm a rising sophomore at Dean College, where I am majoring in musical theater. And I played King Hubert in the show, along with a couple of puppets. I believe it was a frog was one of them, and then I was a goon for Maleficent, and I helped maneuver the dragon head and neck and all that. As of right now, what I'm keeping myself busy with is I'm just doing a lot of online stuff. I'm big into video games, so I'm playing tournaments online and such, trying to win some money, just trying to have some fun. And I hopefully, when things get back to normal, I'll be doing more theater at my school and wherever else I can get it.
Great. You can win money playing video games?
Yes, you can. A surprising amount sometimes.
Have you ever won money playing video games?
I have.
That's
Actually,
so cool.
just last month, me and 5 friends of ours on a team playing this game called Overwatch. We played for a tournament and we won second place, $100.
Snaps to that.
Nice. And Felix.
Hi, my name is Felix Antuimensa. I am a senior at Suffield High School, and I will be going to the University of Connecticut next year, majoring in physiology and neurobio. So that's going to be fun. As for like what I'm doing during quarantine, I've been at home, just chilling, playing a little bit of video games, not as professionally as my friend Josh here, but a little casually, play piano a little bit, watch Netflix, chilling in general. So it's been nice. It's been nice.
You think you'll keep a hand in theater in college life, or you give it a rest?
I plan to, wherever I can find some like a nice local small theater somewhere, just like Majestic, or I may see if I can come back to Majestic, whatever works. But yeah, I plan to keep going. Definitely not stopping. But
yeah, one of the shows we were planning on doing this summer was Schoolhouse Rock. I want Felix to play the teacher so badly. I know he was saying, "Oh, I don't know. My parents want me to get."
I know they wanted me to find a real job.
Sure.
Hey.
And that.
I don't know, but I definitely want to for sure. Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, as I normally do, I'm going to throw it your way, and I have things to talk about here that I wrote down. I know other people have. I know Rocco kind of has pinpointed some spots in the video, in the recording for us to see and react to, I guess, so we can try that out today. That's fine. But I'm happy to talk about questions regarding the story itself, or about our production or our adaptation, the Disney movie. I don't know, any other adaptations that are out there, and production elements, set lights, costumes, etc. And concretes and abstractions, right? Something that's on stage and saying, well, what does that mean and what's that all about? I love that sort of thing. But I will just throw it to you guys and we'll see where the conversation leads us. Go ahead, take it away. Questions, comments, ask me stuff, ask each other stuff. Let's do it up. Go ahead, Josh.
I have a question just for anybody. I asked this the last couple of times I did it because I just think it's a good way to start anything. Because it's I just want to ask how you all got into character for this show. Like, what kind of helped you out? What adaptations? I know I watched the old Disney version, and I actually looked up a friend of mine, his younger brother did an adaptation at their middle school, so I watched that through, and it just kind of helped me because I'm a big fan of the older stuff, so watching that helped me get into character for Hubert. But I haven't really. There's no like the goons in the old version aren't really a thing. They're just kind of Maleficent just kind of has her magic and her crow and such. So watching someone else's performance of this show actually helped me get into that. But does anyone else have anything?
Before anyone answers, real quick, I neglected to I wanted to point out that one cast member couldn't be here, Kaylee Flanagan, who played the Green Fairy, Fauna.
Mhm.
Is that her name? So shout out to Kaylee. So she couldn't be here with us. So but she's a big part of the show. So thanks, Kaylee. But so anyway, I just want to make sure I mention that. Now, anyone, go ahead and answer Josh's question. Go ahead, Maddie, and then we'll go Rocco.
For me, I watched the Disney movie a lot. I know one day we all watched the Disney movie. We had put it up on the projector and we had popcorn. That was such a good memory. That was so much fun. But what also helped me was playing off of Kaylee and Allison, because the three of us spend so much time together on stage. It kind of helped to see how they were going with their characters. And the three fairies are very similar character-wise, so it was kind of seeing what we had in similarities and then, the defining differences that each of our fairies had. So playing off of them helped me a lot.
Yeah, I think I told regarding the fairies. I think I told you guys. Well, there are old ladies in the movie, and obviously you guys aren't. You guys are young ladies, and I think we went for, instead of dressing you up like old ladies, just saying it fits fairies for me that they would be. We talked about that you're old souls, that maybe you're immortal, so you guys have known each other forever.
Yeah.
So, in a sense, you're old ladies inside, but because you're fairies, you just look young forever. So you still have that same dynamic as the old ladies in the cartoon, kind of like the Golden Girls or something,
Yeah.
And you just known each other forever. So that was kind of the thing with the fairies. I remember us talking about. Go ahead, Rocco.
Well, my way I would answer your question, Josh, is something I really like about the Majestic Children's Theater is I remember, Steve, you told us to just act like cartoons, and that's like my favorite thing to hear when I'm doing a show, because I was just able to just let it all go and just be totally crazy as mostly as the goon character. And so it was really great to just act like as crazy as possible. And I know I was riffing a lot off you, Josh. Your goon character was awesome.
Thank you. You too. We were fun. The goons we were a fun batch. I feel like kind of like Maddie with the fairies and such. It helped that it was me, you, and Kaylee just bouncing off each other. Because as soon as one of us got like onto another level of goonish stuff, I don't know how to describe it. We both matched immediately and just kept going. It was fun. Great time.
Yeah, and Emily, you're the third goon, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I applaud you guys for having the willingness to just be silly. I know sometimes that can be kind of hard. It depends what your personality is, but you guys just went for it. And I find the goons, Maleficent's goons, the fact that they're even called goons in the script, I think we all thought was kind of funny. They're not named, I don't think, in the movie. They're just her fellow demons. And we can talk about we can get into later about Maleficent and like Satan and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, I think when the goons first come out in this recording and in a lot of performances, they tend to get a laugh of like, oh yeah, I forgot that she has these little pig-like and bird-like demon friends in the movie. So I think it's kind of funny to see them on stage, and they provide a nice comic relief, etc. Rocco, yeah.
I think it's also really nice that each goon like has their own animal that they're based off of. And I guess, Emily, you were a spider?
Yeah, I kind of say that.
In a sense, yeah.
That's awesome. Are we ready for our first clip, possibly? I have a really nice one of the goons.
The goons.
Sure.
Let's do it.
All right,
Ready.
let's see. Here we go. We got some new Majestic Theater stuff going
Wait,
out
I'm
for the
ready.
first time. Can we do this? Is it working?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bingo. So this is my favorite clip of the goons because you can see I eat something off my shoe
We all had like a
and
level.
choke on it.
Like I was always on the ground. Emily was like kind of in the middle ground between me, and Rocco was always like the tallest, standing the standing the tallest. So we had those levels.
Yeah, there's nice levels there. Yeah.
Rewatching it, Emily's goon faces kill me. They're so funny.
Yes.
Like constantly. They're so funny.
Another one of my favorite goon clips right after is the goon harmony.
Pushing back the beanie.
That's funny.
Legendary. Let's leave it there.
Does anyone have any other responses to Josh's questions, or a question about character? Nanette, go ahead.
When I was watching the movie, at first I tried to mimic her voice. It was very light and like, oh, da, 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 you know, and I tried to do that at first, but I couldn't really like commit to it like all the way. I tried to find a nice middle between my voice and Aurora's voice in the film, and trying to also see her movements in the film. Like she's very like kind of flowy and entranced and, you know, la-di-da. But yeah, I think just like watching her movements and hearing for her voice and just trying to get a sense of like where she's coming from, like her mentality and all. That's how I was preparing for the character.
Yeah, you'd mentioned. Oops, I'm here. You'd mentioned. I'm hearing myself back. Somebody. Is it gone now? Yeah, it seems gone. You mentioned for what was it we were talking about? Aladdin, I guess. When you're talking about princesses and you played two princesses in season and the differences between them, and how Jasmine doesn't want to be she leaves it. She doesn't marry anybody at the end or anything. She just goes off and does her own thing. Do you have anything to say in regards to this princess and her? I mean, she's different, but is there virtues? Is there qualities there? Are there actual? Because I thought about this too some more. Are there actually some similarities between the two? When you really look at what the story is giving you, instead of just saying, "Well, it's a traditional princess."
Yeah.
How dare they, have her get married or whatever?
I think, yeah, there are some similarities between the two. Both want something more. There's definitely that want for a better life, I guess. Aurora, she didn't know that she came from royalty, and she's lonely. She loves her aunts. She loves them so much, and she loves living in the forest. However, she is lonely because she only has herself and her animal friends, and she wants to find, a friend or, the person that she dreams about in her dreams. And Jasmine, she is from royalty, and she knows she's grown up on it like her whole entire life, and she's tired of it, and she wants something different for herself. And the idea of marrying a prince isn't really for her. Like, she doesn't want to do that.
Not on our radar. I'm hearing myself. Somebody. Is it gone? It's gone. Yeah, it's not on her radar, quite yet. I mean, it might be someday, but
yeah,
I think it's just interesting that this what's wrong with for different people wanting different things, and I think in some way, and this is definitely true of like the Little Mermaid, where she wants the prince and she wants to be with the prince, and I mean, if that's what she values, what's wrong with that? But the prince is more of like this embodiment of this whole other world, right? Little Mermaid will be part of that world and part of the people world, and just Prince Eric is just a way to embody that world and make it just a direct want for her. So yeah, I find it interesting. I find it interesting if they don't if they don't marry or if they don't fall in love, or if they do. I mean, it's just different people want different things.
Mhm.
I'm never I don't know, not like offended that she wants love. It seems perfectly normal to me. A
No, of
perfectly normal
course.
thing to go after. Yeah. Anyway, anybody else on that subject of Josh's interpretations and stuff? Molly, go ahead.
So I got to play Maleficent, which was it was a very fun role. And I know growing up, Sleeping Beauty was like my top like favorite Disney movie of all time. So that's what I went back to, and it just was so amazing to watch this thing from my childhood and be like, I can try and embody that as much as possible. I didn't really watch the Angelina Jolie Maleficent movie. I saw it when it came out and I thought it was fine, but one of my favorite things about Maleficent in the original cartoon is how mysterious she is. Like,
Yeah.
we know she's an evil fairy, but we don't know where she came from. We don't really know why she's like, she didn't get an invitation to this, but that made her so mad that she was going to kill this child. So I think it was just kind of fun to take more of the mystery elements from the cartoon and try and sculpt out my own background and my own character without the other prequel movie dictating that for me. So that was very fun. I do think the other Maleficent movie, what it did really well is it really created a strong Aurora, because in the Disney cartoon version, she has the least amount of lines of any Disney princess, with about like 23 or 28, something like that.
Yeah.
And so if there was like a character that I feel like they really did it well, was Elle Fanning in the Maleficent movie.
Nice.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Yeah, it does demystify Maleficent to give her this whole backstory, and to give her a backstory where, I was disappointed with that movie in the sense that it made her completely sympathetic instead of maybe just a little bit, or you could see where she's coming from up to a certain point, and then I think at a certain point there should have been a shift, and there should have been it should have been a tragedy. You should have seen her downfall and become an evil person. I don't think there's any way to really justify what she does, but the movie tries, and I don't know, I think it's cool to see background where maybe she was mistreated, and that's the essence of her being a villain, and that's probably the essence of most people being the villain. We talked about this with Little Princess and Miss Minchin, and how I even brought up Maleficent, how one of the fairies says, I don't think she's very happy. And that's true. She's unhappy, she's jealous, and like you said, we don't quite know why, but she is the outcast, right? She's not allowed. She's been excommunicated from the castle and from civilized life. She's like the Phantom of the Opera, or she's like Quasimodo in Notre Dame. She's like, I mean, what does she look like?
The devil.
The devil. Satan. She's got two big horns on her head. That's not by accident. And Satan, if you go, everyone should read Paradise Lost, whether you're Christian or not, doesn't matter. But yeah, Satan is the outcast. He's cast out of heaven, and he wants revenge. He harbors resentment for that. So he goes and kills God's little creations, in a sense, introduces death into the world. And that's exactly what Maleficent does. And she does it for revenge. Who else? Frankenstein's monster. That's how he feels. An outcast who's different. So he takes revenge on mankind in general. He does evil things. Phantom does evil things. He kills people. Quasimodo does not. So there's cases where the misfit and the outcast, you can't let that justify their evil deeds at the end of the day. David, the character David in Prometheus and Alien Covenant. I don't know if you guys ever saw those movies.
I've seen them. Yeah.
Khan in Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. That is Frank's monster. That is Maleficent. He was literally outcast, and he harbors resentment against Captain Kirk for that. So anyway, I'm rambling, but I like those connections. I mean, that totally is that is what's going on. There are those kind of Christian themes going on in the story, and it's interesting. Um, yeah. Anybody else on that subject, or we can move along to other things. Allison, go ahead.
Um, so one thing that I thought was interesting, like touching. Oh, okay. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. One thing I thought was interesting was there's this one bit where the fairies come in and they give uh the prince his weapons and his shield, and I believe the line is you yeah have your shield of faith and your sword of truth, which I thought was interesting that like faith will shield you from Maleficent because she is somehow evil or something,
Yeah.
and like this like so I thought that was kind of like interesting to just like tie it into the Christian type theme.
Yeah, and it's just, yeah, it's this idea of that, what is it? The sword of truth, the shield of maybe, I
Yeah.
don't know if it's faith, but you may be right. Faith, virtue, I think, is in there. So it's like, what kills evil? Truth, right? Uh, um, love, right? It's the spell can't be broken by just a kiss. They say it has to be the same as the Little Mermaid, right? The kiss of true love. So it's, yeah, again, this idea that love will resurrect you. You have to be a kind, loving person, for it to happen. Yeah. So yeah, that stuff is just definitely in there. I mean, it's a product of its time. It is an old story. It takes place in a feudal, you know, Middle Ages. How much could a peasant girl do? But they're not going to live too long past 30 or 40 or so anyway. And so yeah, you'd want to get married. You might want to get married young and I don't know, have kids if those are the values that she's after. Um, yeah. Anybody else on anything at all? Go ahead, Josh.
I just want to bring up something Carly said actually. She mentioned that there's an audience member who was very happy to see that the prince and the princess were a mixed race. And I thought that, well, I thought that was very good casting because then it shows, at least in my eyes, it shows, the young generation watching this that anyone can be a prince or princess. It doesn't matter who you are, what you look like, and so that really, especially in today's world, that really helps set a good standard for kids who are coming to watch our shows and seeing like someone, if a kid relates with Felix or Nanette and feels like they can that they can fill their shoes, and that's great. It's great to have this sense of anyone can be what they want.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. But let me say this: I cast Nanette and Felix because they were right for the part. Period.
I was originally cast as Flora. I remember.
Oh
and
yeah.
Yeah, it's funny that now after I was cast as Aurora. But I love it. It's like diversity.
Well, but again,
The parts really well.
is that perhaps in the back of my head a little bit? Maybe, perhaps. Sure. But I cast you two because you were right for the part. I did not have other people walking through the door that seemed to fit the roles. You guys had the qualities, necessary to portray Prince and Princess of Disney well,
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So I mean, is that in the back of my head? I slightly, but it's not certainly isn't my main goal. You guys are just right for the part, and that's how I see it. Yeah.
I agree with that. I think that you casting us, of course, it makes sense that or whatever, like the right for the part. But I think Josh's point is true too, because after my show, my cousins who are actually making a lot of noise in the background right now, they watched it, and it was cool to them because any Disney show or movie that they watch, it's like a Caucasian princess or a Caucasian prince, and it was cool to them. They're like, oh, they call me Effie. And they're like, oh, Effie, I'm gonna be a prince like my baby cousin. I'm gonna be a prince like you when I grow up, and it was so adorable. So it's like it's. I think you're right about that, Josh. It kind of opens the mind of the people who come in and see us and not think, oh, back then it was just these princes and princes and princesses of European descent, but anyone can be a prince or anyone can find true love, or anyone can be a hero, or anyone can be, has nothing to do with your skin color. So I think that was a really good point that you brought up, Josh.
Yeah.
Totally.
Look at that family photo. Oh.
Yeah, look at that. Yeah, and I think too, Felix, you bring a good point that again, you two were just right for the part, and race is just incidental. But there is a sense too that I think diversity, for its own sake, for adults and stuff doesn't work for me, but I think for children it makes sense, particularly because they're on a more perceptual level, and they're more apt to, say if they were watching Sesame Street and all the kids on it, the real life human kids that interacted with the Muppets, if none of them were different races, they might be apt to say, why don't any of the kids on Sesame Street, look like me? Which I think is perfectly fine, for a child to ask, because they're on that perceptual level. Whereas an adult, you should be able to relate to, whatever characters up there, no matter, what their race or sex is or whatever. I mentioned this when we were talking about Little Princess. It's like, why, I certainly read Little Princess and related to Sarah Crew. Doesn't matter that she's 10 and a girl. You just relate to their virtues and their qualities, or you admire them, or for those qualities, and those other concretes of what they look like or whatever just are incidental. So as an adult, you should be able to abstract away from concrete stuff and just relate to the universal qualities.
This also goes back in my psychology class. We talked about a concept called the days of decision, in which at a younger age, kids, they're just now starting to make realizations, generalizations about the world around them, and how they interact with people and how people interact with them. And this is where stereotypes form, and this is where world or belief systems and worldviews form. And so, yeah, that definitely makes sense, because as you're younger, you're just now starting to see, I am a little bit different from this person right here, not because of who I am, but just simply because of the color of my skin. But that shouldn't make anything else. There's nothing else different about us. We're still the same human beings and stuff like that. So I think it's a powerful thing, even if, right, like it had nothing to do with why you picked this, but I think it's still a very powerful thing too.
Yeah, if I didn't think you guys were good actors, I wouldn't have cast you.
Yeah, for sure.
I didn't sit down and go, I want the prince to be and I think, let's see, what do I want the princess to be? I mean, that would be ridiculous.
Yeah, no, for sure. I agree.
Anyway, anybody else? Anything at all? We can go off of this point or go elsewhere. About a half hour, 35 questions.
We have an audience
We have
question.
an audience question if we would like one.
Yeah.
So Kathy, she was the same one who commented earlier about the mixed race Prince and Princess. So thank you for being here, Kathy. She has her favorite stage blooper. She loved when the curtain didn't close when Merryweather had her quick change. I think we were talking about this earlier.
Yeah, that is on the tape. Yeah, but it's like a spandex outfit. I mean, it's not, but yeah, the curtain.
I don't know if there are any other stage bloopers we want to go off of that we really liked.
Oh yeah.
Or don't want to remember.
Oh, the
Definitely.
laughing mop.
Oh my
Please
god.
go tell the story.
Who wants to tell it? Should we tell it from your perspective or from the person who sent it?
Go ahead, whoever.
The mop.
What happened? So
basically, the bucket and the mop were controlled by Ian and I, and we were backstage, and I don't know, it might have been me. I don't remember who had which prop that day, because we just grabbed it and go. But when we sent it out, we did not realize that we had flicked the lever, because there's a lever, so it's off, on, like just moving, and then on, moving with laughter for some reason. And so we sent it out, and it was fine for a little bit, but then it just started laughing.
Maniacally.
So what Josh is talking about is, for folks at home, is that in the Let's Have Some Magic Now song, whatever that song's called, when the fairies start using their magic in the house, which was one of my favorite parts of the movie when I was a kid, when they make the mop and the mop and the broom clean up the room on its own. And God, I was thinking, how do you accomplish that on stage? There it is there. And I found online, and a lot of fun little toys are recommended to me because of my history of searching for fun toys to use for children's theater shows, as a way of just trying to create some onstage magic when we have so little time and little budget. But I came across what's called a haunted broom, and it's just a Halloween decoration prop. And when you switch on a button on the bottom, it's like what do you call it? Vacuum cleaner for you.
The Roomba. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like a Roomba. It just moves around on its own. It's on a circular disc. So that's the broom, and then we just put a mop head over the other one, so it looks like a mop. But it also had, if you switch the switch too far, it would cackle like a witch. It had like, cheap Halloween sound effects, and I guess there were some performances where that switch the switch a little too far. I mean, the crazy things you have to do to accomplish this stuff, right? You guys had to just sneak your hands underneath the curtain.
Mhm.
That's why the broom and mop are up against the curtain. And same with the bucket with the bubble machine in it, Josh, right? You just had to kind of sneak your hand in there.
Yeah, just like very carefully. No one saw. One night a kid straight up went, a hand!
Yeah, and just the unpredictable nature of where those things moved. And I felt for the girls having to dance around those things. And I think I told you girls, like, if it looks like it's nearing towards the edge of the stage, you got to keep an eye out for it and not let it fall off the stage. Just drop what you're doing and go move it. I don't know if you ever had to do that, but I don't know, Maddie or Allison or anyone want to comment on that sequence? Or go ahead, Maddie.
The broom and the mop, very unpredictable. I mean, you can see in the recording, when we're dancing, I kind of run into the broom and I have to kind of incorporate it into what we're doing. And that was kind of a regular occurrence because we never knew where they were going or what was going to happen with them. But I think that's what made it fun. I mean, that number was so chaotic, but like in a great way. Like it was just chaotic good. Like it's such a fun number. I miss doing that number. We were always so tired after because not only were we dancing and singing, but we also had to make sure all these things went well, like the dress change and the cake change and the mop and the broom. And it was so much fun, but gosh, if that number wasn't stressful.
Yeah. Let me just scooch forward. I think one performance at the very beginning of that number, I like run on off stage and I get our wands and I hand them out and I have this bit where I like wave my wand and I'm like, okay, let's have some magic now. And the first time I wave my wand, it just breaks in half.
No.
So I'm like, that's the magic. And my wand breaks in half. So I think what I ended up doing was I just picked up the larger half and I used that for the whole song.
Was that how Special Friend was created?
That was how the Special Friend was created.
That poor wand.
The poor one went through so much.
It was repaired, but it had this large bump where the tape was to stick it back together.
Rocco,
I remember another fun and kind of unpredictable part was we had a guest actor from the audience be the prince, and Emily, you would ask, do you want to touch the baby or something? Just like shake hands with the baby, and they would sometimes like get scared and just run off stage.
Yeah, we instructed them just to shake their head no. I think it was, do you want to give your future bride a kiss?
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, and just talk about, concrete like skin color not matching. I mean, of course, the boys from the audience were all different, kinds of kids, and it's supposed to be Prince Philip. I mean, what the hell does it all matter? Anyway, and that's a great way that's how you do audience participation.
Mm-hmm. I love that.
When, you have this very, very small part and you need somebody to do it. And he doesn't say anything. So, okay, we threw a crown on him and he comes up and he's in his sneakers or whatever. It doesn't, quite work, but it's fun because, the audience goes, oh, and they, his family knows who he is, and it's I think some of them will remember that for a long, long time, probably.
Mm-hmm.
probably neat for them to go under the lights and see the crowd. And go ahead.
That's how I got into theater. I got called up for a participation when I was like 5, and I got so into it, I just joined theater.
There you go. Go ahead, Annette.
It was for the number Briar Rose. That was the most stressful, that was the fastest, most stressful quick change I ever had to do for Kaylee. And it was funny because in the recording, it was actually supposed to be Merriweather that had the kind of lopsided outfit, but it was Kaylee that ended up having it because we didn't have enough time to fix it. So, but she still put it into the dance. She was like, oh, well, And I was laughing so hard watching that because it was supposed to be Merriweather. And sometimes that just happened. Kaylee wouldn't have enough time for the whole outfit to come together. But I remember there would be some times where it came out perfect. And we did it in 3 seconds. It was just awesome. But then other times.
That was me, you, and Giuseppe, right? The quick change.
Yeah. We had so much fun backstage. We were catching the wands and the wings, and we were dancing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. You had your own little show going on.
Yeah.
Help make it happen, right?
Same with Ian and I with the mops and stuff. We would dance, do a little cross arms and do a little jig together while we waited for the brooms and such to come back.
That's funny. Anybody, anything else? Bloopers, or we can move on to... Oh, go ahead, Carly.
Yeah. We have another audience blooper. I don't know if this is in the recording or not, but Kathy again. She liked the way when Joshua, who was playing the frog, saved the set when Sleeping Beauty's skirt knocked something over.
Uh,
Rocky,
when I
you
what?
that?
Oh.
I couldn't hear you that well. I'm so sorry. What was that?
That's okay. Josh, when you were playing the frog, you saved part of the set when Sleeping Beauty's dress knocked something over?
Probably the rocks.
Was it it was probably a grass? Yeah, I think just because your dress was very long and flowy, so it would just kind of bump into stuff. And one night, I think just a piece of grass was ready to go tumbling, and I think with the frog, I just kind of held onto the grass, pulled it up, and just started chewing the grass, like it was a frog thing.
Oh, was it during the I Wonder scene?
I think so. I think it was during the I Wonder, because that was the one I had the puppet, and so I think when you were doing your dance, talking about the prince, your dress knocked into one of the grass, and the grass almost went tumbling. So I caught it as the frog. It was the poor frog just had a mouthful of rock and grass, but I held on to it. I got it.
I didn't even notice that. I did notice that when I dropped my cloak, it covered one of Kaylee's animals, and the animal had to get out of it. It was buried under it. And she put it into the song. It was funny, but I didn't know that.
Yeah, here are the woodland creatures. That's funny.
Luckily, it was just a small thing. It wasn't anything crazy, but that was a fun scene though. With those puppets, man.
Yeah, I particularly enjoyed that puppet scene. That was my first time working with puppets, and of course, it was some really hard lines to memorize. There's the owl. It's a joke because I just say who. Josh, do you still have my owl puppet? You brought it with you?
I can go get it.
Oh, you don't have to. Oh, he's gone.
He's off.
Do you guys have any other moments in the play you liked, or anything story-wise or visuals or anything like that?
The blooper when Felix just walked off stage when the handcuffs fell off.
Oh, I love that.
Wait, which one was that?
When he was sitting, you tell it, Felix. Go ahead.
Oh my God, I don't even want to tell it. So I was sitting, right? I was sitting down, and I had I think somebody was in charge of putting the handcuffs on me and making sure they were secure, but they may have not made sure they were secure. So I'm supposed to be sitting there struggling, trying to get them off, and I struggle and get them off. And I'm not supposed to struggle and get them off. So they're off, and I start freaking out in my head because I was like, oh no, the audience is gonna see that they're off. And so I do the dumbest thing. Instead of playing it off and pretending that they're still on, I take them off and stand up while Molly's character is still standing there watching me get up free from my bounds. Oh my gosh. And then she just walks away like nothing happened. And I'm just standing there not cuffed up anymore. So the fairies come in trying to free me, and I'm already free. So yeah, that was a whole lot of just chaos.
And right as you got off stage, you were like, "What the heck did I just do?" Like the second we got off stage.
Oh my God. That whole scene, that whole thing just kept flashing in my head afterwards, and I would just cringe the hardest, dude. Oh, it was terrible.
Oh my god.
I was watching off stage there. I remember you like looked at your hands like, oh wow, it's magic. Oh.
I do in that
man.
scene. I do like the moment where I sneak up on you, and you turn, and you're like, ah, and I'm just like, shh. Like I thought that moment was really funny.
Yeah, that's cute.
Yeah.
You guys know the kind of the history of Sleeping Beauty as do you know what almost bankrupted Disney?
Really?
Oh, really?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they had to spend a lot of money to make it because the backgrounds are all hand painted like oil paintings. These beautiful oil paintings are all in the background, and he had to make dozens and dozens and dozens of them. It's time consuming, labor intensive, and I didn't realize this. So the combination of spending a lot of money, and it didn't do well at the time. It wasn't like critically well received. They thought it was too traditional feeling, or too maybe they were done with Middle Ages and type settings and princes and princesses and stuff like that. I don't know, but I think it's kind of fascinating. People just say, oh, Disney is just all powerful and nothing could bring it down, and but no, I mean they struggled. They really killed themselves to put out a good product, and that's why
What made it
what's that?
What made it grow in popularity? Because it's popular now, right? No? Or...
Yeah. It did well over time, and people just discovered it on their own and liked it. But anyway, because it almost bankrupted them, they changed how they animated things for a while. And I think the movie that came after Sleeping Beauty is 101 Dalmatians. And if you consider what Sleeping Beauty looks like and what 101 Dalmatians looks like, I mean, it's apples and oranges. So they use kind of cheaper technique to get the drawings done for 101 Dalmatians, and that's why it looks the way it does. It's kind of, I don't know, it's okay. It's aesthetically, I think, not for everybody. It certainly looks different, and I know Walt Disney himself hated it. And there's a rumor that he chewed out the guy who was responsible for it, and the guy was like, "Walt, we'll go bankrupt if we don't adopt this method of animation." And supposedly on Walt Disney's deathbed, he apologized to the guy because I guess he didn't talk to him for the rest of his life.
No.
But these are passionate people. Anyway, I find that story interesting.
That is a good story.
Here's your owl, by the way, Rocco.
There's the owl.
All his glory.
I love him.
I wanted to ask you guys, because I've done this before with past shows. I just kind of naming it concrete and letting you guys tell me what the abstraction is. But we did it with Sarah Cruz Attic and things in the attic and what does it mean. But I wanted to ask, why a spinning wheel? What is that all about? Anyone have any theories? She could have touched anything. The author made it a spinning wheel. Go ahead.
Give it a try. See if I can make my senior high school English teacher proud.
There you go.
I honestly, spinning wheel, since the spinning wheel is kind of, it makes stuff, use it to make threads into something more. So it's like, I guess you could talk about like the thread of life, or, the illusion of how something that's supposed to be making something for good, like clothes and such, winds up to be this like force of evil, I guess.
Yeah, I think spinning wheel traditionally is like, it says something about, like fate and prophecy, and like weaving one's fate, is often said as if, I think this goes back to some of its Christian themes of like that the higher powers are spinning this wheel of your life. There's a sense of determinism there too, like that you don't quite have control. It's the person spinning the wheel of your fate. I once saw a Japanese, I'm in a theater so I can't say it, I once saw a Japanese version of the Scottish play, and when the title character of the Scottish play goes to meet the witch, I think there's just one witch in the Japanese version, as she's dictating his prophecy, his fate, right? Like Neo going to see the oracle, she's weaving, she has a wheel next to her, and she's weaving as she's saying what what his fate is going to be. So I find that interesting. And I think that's what it's all about. There could be more. Go ahead, Molly.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like the fates in Greek mythology were these weavers, and what they would do is they would cut your thread of life when you died, and so it's kind of like the sharpest part of the spinning wheel. That's your finger on, almost thus cutting her own thread of life.
Yeah, absolutely. And incidentally, we were talking about this before. Yeah, that made its way into the Hercules Disney movie, which I love that scene. But we were talking about this before this live thing started. We were just chatting casually, but on this recording, it's awesome. When she touches the spindle of the spinning wheel, it stops spinning and goes back and dies. So the thing, is spinning. It's like a heartbeat. It's like life, and then all of a sudden it stops. You want to pull it up, Rocco?
Yes, I'm pulling that up right now for you. All right, can you guys see it?
Yeah. Yeah, here it is here. Notice how it stops when she touches it. Beautiful timing, Nanette.
I know.
And she's not touching it yet. She touches it. It stops.
And then it goes backwards.
And then it goes, it's so cool.
And it dies.
I didn't notice
Were you
that.
guys able to hear audio from that?
No audio there, no.
No,
No
okay.
audio.
It told me I couldn't do it for some reason. Oh well.
That's fine.
I was just gonna say, I think another
So
interesting
ominous.
thing about using the spinning wheel instead of like I don't know, a casual needle or something. I don't know. It just feels very. I know in the movie they have this scene where all the spinning wheels are burning, and I think it's just interesting because spinning wheels at that point in time were very common and used in households, and women were expected to use them because that's how they make clothing, and I think that's very interesting. That I guess as a like. I don't know. I don't think the princess would be using it. It's interesting that Maleficent would choose such a household, more like peasant-like tool to kill off the princess, And I think, no, I will say it would have piqued her curiosity more because she probably would have never seen it before in her life. So when she does see the spinning wheel, she's like, what the heck is this? And then she's like, why not? Sharp things. Let's touch them.
Yeah, and that is you brought up a good point, Emily, in the sense that she's tempted by it. And again, go back to, Maleficent as a Satan kind of character that makes total sense. She doesn't just go and kill Aurora. She tempts her and seduces her. It's almost like Aurora is hypnotized, to go touch the spinning wheel. So there's that sense of eating the fruit from the forbidden tree. And perhaps there's some validity to this, and obviously this is for children, so I don't want to say much about it at all. I'll just say it and leave it there. But yeah, professors who are super into, analyzing stuff would say there's some kind of, I don't know how to put it, other than, there's some kind of sexual thing there of like losing innocence growing up. Aurora is like 16, right? Her birthday is mentioned, right? So I'll just leave that there and let you think about that and mull that over. But I think there's some validity there to that. I don't think that's necessarily a kooky professor interpretation. I think there's something there. Because again, it could have been anything that she touches, So anyway, anybody have any other, let's see, we're almost down to the wire. So I think we could maybe take a question or point out a couple little other moments that we like briefly. Go ahead, Rocco.
I have a question for you, Steve. You talk sometimes about how you make your own props for this. How did you make the dragon, and what is it made out of?
It's we don't have a picture of I don't have a picture of the dragon.
I have a video if you want. If you want, I can pull that up after.
We can pull it up after. Aurora Ferrer was. I'm grateful for helping me finish off the dragon. We kind of spent almost all night finishing it up before the first performance, and it's like most things I make. It's made out of foam. So you go get like foam insulation from Home Depot, and then you pile it up and glue it all together to make just a big square, or in this case a rectangle. And then you take a sawzall, like a saw that's like almost like an electric carving knife, and you just shape it and mold it and take a step back, and that's got to go and that's got to go, and and just work away at it until it starts to look like what you want it to look like. And then instead of painting it, I just in a last ditch kind of do a quickly effort. We wrapped it up in kind of like this kind of black tape, and so it's a little shiny for my taste on the recording, but you know, it looks good.
That sounds like a fun story. I would love to make something like that. I feel like I could. I love how like the lights, also like the lights in the eyes, how it looks in the darkness.
Yeah.
Really cool.
LEDs are a blast. So those are just two LED lights within the eye sockets with a green a light gel over the eyes. And the horns are I didn't know what I was gonna do for the horns, so I'll just do this. And I do it occasionally with props. I just go walk around Home Depot, looking at stuff like who browses at Home Depot? You usually know what you want when you go there. But yeah, you just kind of look for things that could pass for. So those are, I think, underneath the horns, which are wrapped in tape, are like air duct connective pipes. So I would just go there, pick them out, lay them on the floor right there in the store, and say, "Oh, that's the shape of a horn."
Nice. That's inspiring.
Go ahead, Maddie.
I think for me, just so much of the production was so cool to me. I think the lighting design was just awesome. The fairy entrance is one of my favorite moments in the show, with the little lights in the darkness, and those were so fun to play with. But also the single spotlights coming up as they announce us with the confetti. I just think that's a really fun moment.
Yeah, so I do too, and I think the fairies, what you're talking about, the LED lights.
Mm-hmm.
I said LED lights on sticks, but I way back in 2013 when I was doing here is this fairy entrance?
Yes.
Yeah. Here, we can just watch this for a second. Yeah, there's the red one. This is much more impressive live.
Yeah.
But yeah, there they are.
It's so cool to watch it back.
What those are, so way back in 2013 when I did Thumbelina, which I don't have a recording of, there's a bird character, and at first I was like, it would be cool if it were some kind of puppet. And then I found online, yeah, you guys look great, look at that. I found online a remote control bird, which I thought was really cool, and because it had these flapping wings, and I used it I strapped it to that ended up not working for Thumbelina, but I remembered it. And when we did Pinocchio, Josh, you remember that Dan Kelly had a cricket puppet, and I strapped.
Yep.
I sprayed him white. I cut the poor bird's head off, and and just strapped it to the back of the cricket, and he would land on the balcony, and he had that that sound, which is so cool. He would just control it with a remote control in his pocket. So I just remembered that stuff, and then when it came to here, yeah, I was at my my parents' house, and we talked about this, Rocco, going, "What the heck am I doing?" Gluing an LED light with a remote control bird to a dowel, and spraying it white, and then I found LEDs that actually would turn green, red, and blue. And then I think Benjamin just had the remote control in his pocket and sat in the back of the house and turned them on. So yeah, it's fun to find toys and find ways of creating that magic, even if you don't have a huge budget or a whole lot of time. We do these in a week. I like to point out on every one of these podcasts.
I think it's proven that having a restricted budget creates room for creativity.
Definitely.
Yeah, I agree.
Necessity is the mother of invention, right? Ninette, you were going to say something.
I was just going to add to what Maddie said about the lighting. I think the blue lighting in the beginning of Act 2 when the fairies and Aurora enter the castle, the blue lighting just adds to like the gloomy atmosphere, and I really liked it. I didn't see it because I was on stage, but seeing it on the recording was really nice.
Yeah, and it bounces off the dresses really nicely. All those the poofy dresses, I really like. I found those on Etsy, I believe. Yeah. Anybody else on anything? Oh, and I remember in that part too, when they're bringing you back to the castle and you're older now, and the fact that they don't age, but you do. And, and I mean, it works perfectly. They haven't aged, but you have. And I remember liking that the cradle is still there in the castle, as if it were, just abandoned. I remember if we had time, I would have loved like spider webs on the cradle. or something like that, just to show the passage of time. But I like that the fairies go up to it and look at it and are kind of sad, like, yeah, she's still here and still alive, but, you can't get that child version back. And didn't it feel like yesterday that we were all here in the hall for her baptism or whatever? Yeah. Anybody else on anything? Josh, go ahead.
Just because we were talking about props, just real quick, I wanted to mention the sword that Felix was swinging around was actually a sword I had at home because I am an avid just collector of funky weapons and such to mess around with. I got it at like a Red Fair or something, and when you mentioned like, oh, I just need a sword, I perked up. I went, I have at least 700. I got you. But that thing went through some times. I remember the handle broke off at one point. The pommel like popped off. It was covered in duct tape by the end, but it was fun to see it was fun to see that prop just getting swung around. Cool, because I actually still have it, and I just chilling in my room.
Yeah, thanks for lending it to us. It had a good look to it. But yeah, if you ever want to test the strength of something, put it in a play and see how long it lasts. Put it in a 16 performance run and see how long it lasts. I mean, a part of my job here at the Majestic all the time, constantly during the main season and children's theater, constantly repairing things. And if you go pull a drinking glass for a play, there's kind of the rule, you better grab 2 or 3 because one's gonna break.
Looks like something's gonna smash at some point.
Yeah. Anybody else on anything?
I thought it was really nice that for the music you combined all like the kids songs that were in the original script, which is like Sleeping Beauty Kids Jr., and then you incorporated some of the songs in from the movie. I Wonder being the best example.
Yeah. Well, why is that missing from the script in the first place? It's just one of those frustrating things when you get a material that they clearly own. Why wouldn't they include some things from the movie? Maybe there's some internal.
They included it in the script. It was just super juvenile. Like it was like, I wonder why each little girl. It was like,
right, they changed it.
It was like an ensemble number, I think, at first.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, with the animals. Yeah, yeah, it didn't make sense to me. Yeah, that's right. That's true, Rock. I forgot about that. I love one of my favorite things about Sleeping Beauty is the music. I love the fact that they created lyrics for it, I guess, but they just took Tchaikovsky's beautiful Sleeping Beauty score, and that's like the heart of the movie. And the lyrics seem to fit seamlessly. It doesn't seem to doesn't stick out in my mind that they added lyrics to a classical song. And even the songs that were added for the stage adaptation, I remember getting the CD with all the scripts and stuff, and it came with a long section of I had played it for you guys, I can't remember, but it would play the original Tchaikovsky music back to back with the song from the show, and you could hear the similarities. You could hear the same melody. So even added songs like Maleficent's song is actually a melody from the Tchaikovsky ballet. So that's why it fits into the show. It doesn't really stick out to me. But it's why I got rid of the goons doing a conga, because that certainly did. That does not sound like Tchaikovsky or anything else to me. It seemed to stick out like a sore thumb. And we were talking about this before the live thing started, that it's said in the script to have the goons do a conga line like da 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 da. Hey.
So exciting.
That would have been so funny.
Out of nowhere, absolutely out of nowhere.
It was really out of nowhere.
I remember just saying, I'm only willing to take corny things so far. Yeah.
I mean, in the movie, there's a part where they're all like partying it up at Maleficent's evil lair. Like there's a huge bonfire and all of her are like dancing around, having a good time. Not as great as a conga line, but they're still having like this big revel.
Yeah, that's true. There's a revelry, right? Yeah, they're partying it up in hell. I mean, it looks like hell. The bonfire and dancing around it all menacingly.
My raven's even named Diablo, so you know.
There you go. Yeah, unfortunately, you got to get rid of something like a crow. How would I do that? You got to have limits.
Paint Poncho black.
Oh no.
Well, Unless there's any other questions, Carly, or anything like that. If anybody has any quick final thoughts or anything, now's the time. Otherwise, we can let it go. Is there anything at all? Go ahead, Maddie.
My last final thing. So sad Kaylee can't be here, but just listening to her first part that she sings, it is so unfair that any of us have to sing up against her because her voice is just so beautiful. Like I have a note written down and it says Kaylee's talent equals heart. Like that was my first thought when she opened her mouth in the show. I was like, oh my god, she's so good.
Yeah, the three of you are great as the fairies. Yeah, everybody's great. It's a good cast. Yeah. Anybody else? Any final quick thing?
Scumps was amazing.
Yeah, I love doing the show with all of you.
Yeah,
Scumps.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite parts of that movie is the drinking song that they sing together.
Oh man.
Yeah, scumps, and it sounds like they and I have
Those voices too, though. King Hubert. Oh yes.
And Hubert.
Oh yes.
That was one of my notes that I wrote down. Just and Hubert in quotes with a bunch of A's.
you were coming in at the end like and me, you know, you were there and you were there, that Wizard of Oz sort of thing, and then Josh waddles in and me.
And me, don't forget Hubert.
I wrote down every cradle because that's what Josh was like his voice saying that.
And every cradle.
Every cradle.
Yeah, that's a memorable part of the Disney movie. That guy's voice in every cradle.
My voice was not happy after that show, but it was so fun.
Alrighty, guys. Well, go ahead, Carly.
Yeah, Steven, I was just gonna ask, you know, like I always do, what are we expecting for next week?
Yeah, I think we're doing James and the Giant Peach.
Awesome.
Yay, Mimi gets to do this.
Some people here are in that, some were not, but yeah, please watch and enjoy, and please, if you're not involved in that cast, tune into this thing. So next Sunday at 7 o'clock, and we'll talk about James and the Giant Peach. It could be good to I'm just bouncing around. I want to hit different areas and different types of children's shows. Roald Dahl is certainly out there and very different from this, which is great. And it also introduces some old faces and some new faces, and etc.
Cool. Yeah. We'll be on the lookout for that then. Thank you guys for coming today.
Thank you all for listening. Thank you guys for coming. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Until next time.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
See ya, James and the Giant Peach.
Cool.